Hello, everyone, and welcome back to We Know You Know, a podcast about Psych. Today, we're going to be talking about Season 3, Episode 8 of Psych. I am your host, Matthew, and I have my co-host here, Barb.
Everybody, welcome back.
If you're enjoying the show, please remember to like, subscribe, and share it to your friends. Thank you for coming back and listening to this week's episode.
We, as always, want to give a shout out to the official Psych Fanatics of Facebook group and the Psych subreddit. Many of our listeners are from these groups, and we are very, very happy that you are here.
This week, we are going to be talking about Episode 8, which is Gus Walks Into a Bank. This episode first released on September 12th of 2008. It was written by Steve Franks and Andy Berman and directed by Eric Laineville.
So Steve Franks and Andy Berman, we are extremely familiar with and always love these episodes that they write. Two of our favorite writers. I don't know. I mean, I think that's fair to say, right, Matt?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Director is Eric Laineville. He directed an episode last season as well. The Meat is Murder, but Murder is also Murder episode, and has gone on to direct many other great things. Only these 2 episodes of Psych, though. Some of the shows he has directed in the past are Monk, Lost, Heroes, Warehouse 13, NCIS, Blue Bloods, and most recently The Equalizer, the new version with Queen Latifah. And so he's had a lot of really great episodic TV in his little resume here. What is our synopsis for this week, Matt?
So this week, when Gus is taken hostage inside the Santa Barbara Savings and Loan Bank, Sean becomes the gunman's chief negotiator in the hopes of saving his best friend. Sean also discovers he has some competition on the Juliet front.
I love this episode, but you know what? That part irritates me a little bit. We're just going to see how it plays out, Matt. We're going to see how it plays out.
I'm sure, and if I recall, this one's a little bit it's a little heavier. Maybe just in certain parts. I think in certain parts it gets a little heavier.
Yeah. We do have 2 great co-stars in this episode, so I'm excited to see that. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into the episode, Matt. Okay, so this week we start off not with a flashback, oddly enough, because usually that's how they start. But this week we start with Sean and Gus in the Blueberry. They're getting ready. Well, Gus is getting ready to go into the bank, and Sean won't go with him. And we find out that he won't go in because he's mad at the bank because they didn't give him a small business loan last year, and that the small business loan was for a pulley system designed to bring snacks from the kitchen of the office to Sean's desk.
I mean, how could they have passed that up?
How indeed. And then Gus goes into Gus feels very strongly that business should be handled face to face. And he goes into this whole thing about how if they're partners in the business, each of them have responsibility. And it's, the normal Gus and Sean kind of interaction there.
I agree with Sean here. I have to agree with him. Like, they're not just going to walk it in together. There's no reason both of them have to suffer.
Well, then why shouldn't it just be Sean?
Technically, they should be switching each one. Although Gus would never trust that Sean would just do it properly, so he'd just do it just to make sure it gets done right. And that's where I come into play. That's also what I would do.
That is right, though. That is right.
Mhm.
He should not trust Sean in that.
So ultimately, Sean's right.
Wow. No, but okay.
But this is what's going to set up the episode. Sean is
Yeah.
wanting to take a nap in the car while Gus does the boring bank stuff. Gus goes into the bank and he is doing his normal routine. It looks like he's signing the check, getting everything ready, and he's in line. And when he's in line, he's looking around and he sees a very pretty bank teller. I think this is his real reason for wanting to come into the bank. But the bank manager comes by and somebody's he's talking to him and walking behind him, and out of his pocket is the handle of a pistol. And somebody else sees it and freaks out, and then he goes into the whole this is a hold-up routine.
The security guard is like 80 and drops his gun immediately when the guy tells him to.
Sean is outside, and he just sees a bunch of cop cars pull up, including Juliet and Lassiter.
Mhm.
He has no idea what's going on, though.
Sirens, everything.
Although, to be fair, at this point, he would have heard that gunshot.
Well, he did, that's why he set up.
No, he sat up because of the cop cars.
I think he was trying to hear everything. See, he looks over at the bank like he saw
Oh,
something.
actually, good. All
Yeah,
right,
he
so
or
yeah,
like he heard
yep,
something, yeah.
you're right. He does look over at the bank.
Yeah.
All right, so here's a little piece of trivia that Amazon points out is the guard, the bank guard in this episode, the older guy, was in The Old and the Restless, and I'm pretty sure he was the comedian from that
Oh,
episode,
yeah.
the
Yeah,
guy
yeah,
who kept
yeah.
trying to make everybody laugh.
So, right off when Lassie and Jules arrive, they're telling Sean what's going on, that there's, somebody's got hostages in the bank and all that, and Sean visibly is like, "No, no, 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 no." He wants to go in, they won't let him, but you can see he's really upset that he let Gus go in there by himself. And that, Matthew, is why you just go in with your friend. Just
Nope,
saying.
because then they would both be in
Just
there.
say yeah, but at least you'd be in
Yep,
there with
then
each
there'd be
other.
one more hostage in there, one more person in
Oh.
danger. This is why you should just submit your checks online.
I really, really like how you can see when something's happening to one of them. Their relationship is just so great. I mean, I have like other girlfriends that I feel like that about. Like Sean and Gus are like they're just so close. Like Sean knows that that's like the most important person to him. So you can see it.
Yeah.
And cut to Henry, who's watching this go down on the news, but doesn't realize that Sean's in there yet.
So Juliet has the same question of why is Gus in there by himself? He's like, what are we gonna do? Walk it in there, like each holding one side? It's a one-man job. And he's right. You can't argue with his
But
logic.
but I do like that she questioned his psychic ability there. She's like, "I just find it odd that
Didn't
you're
see this coming,
psychic
yeah.
and you didn't know something was happening." And he had to very quickly, like, backpedal out of that and just be like, "I don't see the future. It's not about that," you know?
Mhm.
But it was interesting that she posed that question when it happened.
You got the chief and McNabb down here. We're about 4 minutes in. She lets them know that the SWAT team is on his way and their negotiator, their chief negotiator, is coming there, and they're gonna have charge over the scene.
Lassie, of course, has an issue with that.
Of course. So at 4 minutes and 30 seconds, we get this awesome, like, classic scene where the SWAT guys pull up, the guys run out the back with all their gear, and the back doors, like, fly open, and the negotiator, like, jumps out and does, like, the hair tussle.
It's like he's a celebrity or something. It's funny.
Yeah, there's, like, rock music playing, like, it's all perfectly timed.
Sean has to comment on what we were just commenting about, which is kind of funny. He's like, "Okay, well, I don't know how it's gonna play out in the Midwest, and this time more of this and less of that." Like, he gets the whole vibe. He's like, "You got lots of swagger. Great. Like, let's get past this and worry about Gus being in the bank."
Yeah, he's kinda roasting him for, like, having this, like, cool entrance, and
Uh-huh.
while also trying to get him, like, "Focus, focus."
And let's just add that this is another one of the co-stars I was talking about. This is Gary Cole that's
Yes.
playing the negotiator.
The hostage negotiator is Commander Luntz, by the way.
And Luntz and Lassiter know each other.
We're about 5 minutes, 50 seconds in. Lassiter and Luntz are kinda going at it a little bit with their, macho power game of, who's in charge here, and we get this, like, far away shot where we can see everybody's, like, entire body, and we see Sean off to the right, and he's got this very nervous stance. I definitely think that this was an intentional shot for this purpose.
Yeah, like legs are moving back and forth.
He's making jokes now because he's uncomfortable and wants,
Mhm.
like, kinda, I guess, to calm himself with his own jokes.
His body language is very anxious.
Yeah. Yeah, when Gus is at risk, he's very nervous. Luntz has also done some psychology training in his studies, and he kinda just perfectly calls out Sean with what he's doing and his connection.
At 7 minutes, 30 seconds, the phone rings to the bank, like the main landline to the bank. It is the negotiator. So we find out that the bank robber's name is Phil Stebbins.
So another an Amazon find with the goofs is that whenever the phone rings at a bank, you can see all the speed dial numbers, and if you read what each of them is labeled, it's very clearly a phone for a hotel. reception, security, valet, spa, front desk, housekeeping, etc. So a little bit of a goof there on their part. As Luntz is talking to the robber and he gets some information from him, he gets his name. And we know the robber's name is Phil.
Phil Stebbins.
We also hear from some of the people on the sidelines that some of the people inside are diabetic and they need to get some food, which is going to put pressure on this situation if there's a bunch of starving hostages inside
Well, people that
with
can go
medical
into
conditions.
if you go into a diabetic coma, you don't want that. So,
Mhm. So Juliet comes over and tells Lutz about the woman on the side and that people need food. But Sean sees something. Whenever she comes over and whispers to him, Lutz touches her back, her lower back. And he's got a weird feeling about that.
he notices the body language clue.
He gets Phil to give them the go ahead to bring in some pizzas. And this opens up an opportunity for Sean.
I have to talk about this. I'm so not liking this part where he's noticing that like something's happening between Jules and that guy and like that they're already dating. It's very upsetting to me. I kind of don't even want to even address it. And I know we I know we have to, but I don't really want to. I don't want to validate it. It's upsetting.
But Sean calls out Juliet on it. He's like, I'm getting some weird thing between you and this Luntz guy. What's going on? Is some sort of familial thing, or what is it?
Ooh, and she calls him Cameron.
We find out that Juliet met this guy at a police conference. They've gone on a few dates, and she's interested in him, even though he's a little bit older than her. And Sean is not loving this.
But Lassie is really liking it.
Between this and the stress of Gus being, a hostage, he's not doing great.
Gonna push him right over the edge.
This is interesting because at this scene, we're about 10 minutes and 40 seconds in. When she sees, Sean's reaction, she's like, I was going to talk to you about this, already. I was going to talk to you about this, but stuff happened. She was going to talk to him about it. Why would she need to talk to him about it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I guess after the Talk Derby to Me episode, it's obvious that they both know there's something there. So, but yeah, she feels the need to talk to him about it.
They have known for a long time. Dare
Yeah.
I say,
Bounty hunters.
from the second that he sat next to her at the little cafe when they first met, like he knew then. There has been something since then.
Although on the topic of it, I don't know if this is the best time to do it. I don't remember what else happens in this episode, but on the topic of it, her and Luntz just don't quite make sense to me. They both do have the shared interest of being like cops, but Luntz, he's got like this alpha male type thing where it's the same thing where he competes with Lassie. Like they both want to be in charge. They both want to be like the top dog in the room. I just don't think that Juliet likes that. Juliet is top dog in the room. She's the one who, like, if something happens, she jumps out there with Lassie. She defends Sean in the future. And I don't know. I feel like she would not like that. I feel like she likes being the person who's like the strongest person in the relationship. It just doesn't seem like.
I don't know that we really. I don't know. As you're saying it, I'm like,
Well, and my favorite episode of the show, she is she's the savior. She's the person who saves the day. Lassie Jerky?
Yeah. Yeah, but that side is not always out in her. And like no female doesn't want to feel like taken care of, protected, that sort of thing. So I can't imagine that it's like always that way for her. I do think she has moments though. Oh, Sean walks away, visibly hurt. All right. So let's just note here that the two of them, when Sean talks to Luntz, they both know something's going on. Like Sean is throwing like the little digs at him about he's the elder officer here. And he throws right back with like, the chief says, Sean, you can't go in there. You're not tactically trained. And he says, well, do we even know if he's potty trained? Personally feel like he sees, maybe it's based on Juliet talking about Sean or something, but he's got to know that there's something happening there too. Maybe it's like,
see, I don't get that vibe.
Oh,
I feel like he's just like Sean has already hit him a few times, and he just is
No.
taking his opportunity to
I
snap
think he
back.
knows that his girlfriend's attracted to Sean. I feel like it. I know it. I know it.
Out of frustration, Lutz at around 12 minutes out of frustration, Lutz ends up putting Sean behind the police barricade with the civilians. That is degrading.
Well, it's also pretty stupid because Sean has said he could go in there and psychically read the people in the bank.
Mhm.
Which,
Yeah.
we all know that he's not really a psychic, but he is super observant and would make a great person on the inside of that bank. So
Yep.
it's not, strategically, it's not a good move not to let him go in there.
Agreed. But at this point, we also get a call back from Phil, the bank robber, and he sees outside that the cop is actually delivering the pizzas. Like they have him in like a uniform, but he can clearly see that this is most likely a cop. And he tells him that he wants somebody from behind the barricades to carry the
A
pizzas up,
regular person.
and that's perfect. He peels around the corner and sees Sean just standing there,
Uh-huh. A
and
regular
Sean sees
person.
him staring at him and just
Uh-huh.
raises his hand instinctively.
He knows. He knows he's useful.
That's amazing.
And then
So
she starts checking all the pizzas.
Sean walks up with a box of like 10 pizzas, and he like sets them down on the ground in front of the door, and he like looks through a couple of them, and then the robber Phil opens up the door and he's like, dude, you can't accept these. You can't accept them.
And there we sort of get a pineapple reference because he's like the blatant disregard of ham and pineapple. He's
Four
like, 4
veggies.
veggies? Where's the pepperoni? It's funny. And then he talks about pineapple. I think that's probably gonna be our only pineapple reference in this episode, but I'm not sure.
I don't think that counts, but
Oh, I do.
it is a funny line.
No, I
And
think it
essentially
totally
he's
counts.
doing this on purpose to try and make the guy get a little bit stressed so that he gets pulled into the bank, which is what he wanted the whole time.
Right, because they just wanted him
He
to set the pizzas down by the door and go, and he's just wasn't gonna have that. He had
Yeah,
to
so
figure out a
he's
way to get in.
yelling and making a big scene. He's holding the pizzas, and Phil ends up just pulling him into the room.
We also see when Sean enters the bank that he's looking at the robbers, at Phil with his gun, and he does have the safety on. That's about 13 minutes, 52 seconds in, that the safety is on Phil's gun, which makes him feel a little bit better when he's talking to him.
Aside from being more comfortable, it does also make him question, like, why does this guy have the safety on if he's robbing a bank?
Okay, so at 14 minutes, 30 seconds, the robber has got everybody like divided up in the bank. They're all sort of sectioned off, but he has let Sean and Gus sit together. And in the middle of this hostage situation, here's Sean saying, Jules is dating an old guy. Like, he is just, and then Gus has the same reaction as me. Like, we're in the middle of a hostage situation, and that's what you're thinking about? Like, yeah. Anyway, he's very bothered by it.
We're at probably about 15 minutes, 30 seconds, and we're focused on Sean and Gus. They're sitting down next to like the counter. Gus is he's having like a near death experience over this time. He is talking about life as if he's been, held up here and tortured. He's talking about how life is fleeting and things move fast in here. It's hostage time. He's been looking over at the woman, and he's like thinking about how he has to, man up and tell her how he feels. And Sean mentions that you've only been in here for like 2 hours and nobody's been shot. like, you're okay. I'm confident that I can resolve this issue. And
And
Gus
Gus is
isn't
like,
having it.
it's no, it's hostage time. It goes fast. I cannot help but notice the nod to Ferris Bueller here. So our one of our co-stars, the bank robber Phil, is played by Alan Ruck, who is most famous for his role as Cameron in in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Mhm.
And one of the like most notable quotes from Ferris Bueller is life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you can miss it. So I cannot help but sort of, I don't know. It was like a nod to me from that, but
Yeah, that's a good one. So around 16:25, Sean yells over to Phil, and he tells him, like, I got to go to the bathroom.
His exact words are that he needs to potty. 16 minutes, 50 seconds. We have a pineapple sitting in with a bowl of fruit on one of the counters at the bank. Odd place for it, but there it is nonetheless.
And that one, yeah, that one is one of those like obvious in your face ones where it's sitting up on like the
Mhm.
camera moves right past it. I'm glad that that was it and it wasn't the pineapple on the pizza because I hate when that happens. So as Phil's walking him to the bathroom, Sean has noticed some things about, Phil and the scenario and the way everybody's behaving. And he ends up just going kind of just like getting out with it. And he tells him, I'm a psychic. I work for the police and I'm getting some strange vibes here. And he uses some of the information that Lutz, derived from their conversation to try and like convince him. And he ends up telling him that the psychic, the realm is telling him that you're not a bank robber.
Phil is very happy. He's hugging him. He's, like, so happy that he sees that about him.
So yeah, about 1745, whenever he tells Phil this, Phil kind of like freaks out and is a little bit like relieved almost or happy that Sean thinks this, and he's asking him like, what was it, Diane, was that her name?
Joanna.
Joanna.
Joanne. Yeah, Joanne.
And he asks him like, can you get a message to Joanna, is she okay? And this whole picture starts to come into focus now,
The story is
because
unfolding.
this guy, based on our descriptions alone, you should be able to tell that something's off about this bank robbery.
Yeah,
But
like, he's not
visually
violent.
speaking, you can tell that, like, this guy is nervous. He doesn't wanna be here, and this wasn't some, like, planned, well executed thing.
Mhm.
Um, Honestly, out of context, I might even think that he had some mental issues. At
Yeah,
some
well,
points, it
it's sort
looked
of
like
like
he's
to me, it just looks more like he's, like,
panic attack?
buried in something, like, something is, like, got it like, he doesn't know how to fix what's happening. Like, he's just, like, nervous and, like, I don't necessarily think it's, like, a mental illness thing, I think it's just, like, he just needs help, and he
Well,
doesn't
yeah,
know how to get it, and, like, no one's
yeah.
helping him.
Alright, so Sean kinda tricks Bill here and tells him that, like, he can get a message out to her, just kinda, like, use me. Well, actually, he doesn't even really say the whole, like, use me as, like, a phone, like, he kinda just says, like, "I can give her a message," and Phil kinda just, like, grabs him and starts, like, talking into his ear like he's, like, some sort of phone.
But he's telling Sean everything that someone came and got him, said, "Hey, they've got his wife and like you're gonna deliver these diamonds to me or she's gonna get hurt." It's like a whole thing. So indeed, he is like in a situation where he doesn't know what to do. He's just gotta do what he's gotta do to save. He's like very apologetic and like just visibly upset, like
Just
crying,
wants
like
to help
he's
his wife.
really upset. Yeah. He's like, "Oh."
So Sean has convinced this guy that he's on his side. He's come out and he's told him that he's working for the police. He's told him he's a psychic, and he's convinced him that he wants to help him. And he actually, like, the guy just like lets him like go off on his own to the bathroom, and I think later on he just lets him like walk around, and it's all very confusing for everybody else.
Well,
But
this guy clearly
yeah,
he knows that he needs help from someone.
yeah.
Sean's offering that, and he's like, "Okay, anyone that can help me." But he did give off one piece of information, though, that we do need to highlight. He said that he feels like he is being watched not only by the cops, but also by someone inside the bank.
Hmm.
Interesting piece of info.
After Sean goes into the bathroom, he calls out to Lutz, and Lutz promptly just blows him off without even hearing him out at all, which sucks. But
So Sean calls Lassie.
yep. Lassie knows enough to trust him, and he ends up sending McNabb out to check on Stubbins' wife to see if this story holds water at all. So, in order to give himself time to solve the case, Sean essentially sets Phil up with a list of demands to tell the cops to give him time. Like ridiculous things, like a zipline pulley system for his food, a tour bus, blue, filled with groupies. Part of his demands is that Sean be made the essentially the mouthpiece of the hostage taker,
Mhm.
and he then gets put on the phone, and Phil or and Lutz is forced to talk to him. And Sean kind of gets a couple jabs in before having him pass the phone off to Juliet.
So once Sean gets Jules on the phone as part of this negotiation, he immediately starts with like, "You're really dating this guy?" And she's like, "Sean, we can't do this right now." And in the middle of this hostage negotiation, and he's like, "But Jules, oh, it's just pitiful, you guys. It's pitiful." He is so upset by this. And rightfully so. Shame on Jules.
That's it?
That's it for now.
Mm-hmm.
The best part is that all the other cops are listening in on this line.
Yeah.
Take it away, Matt.
So they're on this live line, and he asks, Jules, just one more thing. Does he have these those older guy boobies that kind of droop at the ends?
And all the cops are cracking up.
They're all laughing.
I don't know that Sean I don't know that Sean knows that they're all listening, but it's so good. Okay, go ahead.
So Sean, at about 23 minutes, 30 seconds, Sean goes and sits next to Gus, who's now sitting next to a different person. And he gets his opportunity to plead his case on the zipline pulley system, because it just so happens that this person is the bank manager, the person who rejected Sean's request for funds.
For the pulley system.
He ends up telling Sean that he doesn't have the real the power that you would think that he has as manager. It wasn't just him who shut it down. He then Gus asks him to recant what happened with the robber when he first came in. So while he's recanting what happened here, he says that Phil approached him, that he then asked to see the safety deposit room, presumably to check on his safety deposit box. And when he was in there, that's when he pulled his gun on him. And Sean is recalling the video feeds from inside the bank that he saw when he was outside with the SWAT team. He says that he also remembers Mr. Stubbins, Phil, there a week prior when the diamonds were being dropped off. Because he remembers, because he let the VIP customer with the diamonds skip Phil in line. So at about 26 minutes, Phil gets a call from Lutz telling him that they are going to meet all of his demands, and you can even see a big bus outside that's there for them. And Sean is a little bit baffled by this. He definitely thought that they were not going to be able to meet this stuff. And then he notices that there is a red dot on Phil's chest, and he looks outside and sees a sniper across the way. And he is able to run and tackle Phil to the ground just in time as the sniper fires through the glass and misses Phil. Now we have a weird situation where everybody, all the other hostages, are all looking at Sean, the guy who stopped them from being saved by saving the hostage, or by saving Phil.
Sean replies with free hugs. Who's next? So 26 minutes in, 26 and 30, we are at Henry's house, and he has been watching the coverage of this and learns that Sean is inside the bank, and he is immediately worried. And he's like, "This can't be good."
They also, you see in the background of the news, they have video footage of the SWAT team, and they're specifically loading up the grenade launcher. And Henry, from that being his job, knows that they're getting ready to breach based on how long they've been at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're getting ready to breach here, and they're going to gas everybody, run in with smoke, and
Now he's worried. Yeah.
right, ask questions later. They're just going to go in.
Yeah.
So Sean, he comes back and sits next to Gus, and he's still panicking, and he's like, "Dude, don't even sit next to me right now. After the phone thing, I don't even want them to know that we're friends with the guy that kept them getting saved.
Right.
For a second there, it sounded like so like high school. Like, dude, don't sit next to me. Like, you're not
Yeah,
cool. I like
it's
them.
funny. But then when he says, "Yeah, I mean, I've got him to release a hostage," Gus thinks he automatically thinks it's gonna be him, not one of the women or children.
He's like, I'm a horrible person. There's so many other people here. And then Phil comes over and he's like, Sean, you ready to go out? Sean has seen a bunch of when he was in the bank manager's office, he saw a bunch of foreclosed houses that are nearby, and he thinks that maybe she might be there, Phil's wife. So he's gonna check that out before he comes back in. And
Aw.
Gus gives him his
Like, "I love
goodbye in
you,
case he
Sean."
dies. It's actually very nice.
Aw, he hugs him. He, like, holds the back of his head. Aw.
So at 28 minutes and 50 seconds, Sean is walking with Phil, out of the bank, preparing to be the hostage that gets let go. And he tells Phil to keep an eye on the bank manager. He thinks that he is involved with this somehow. Whenever whenever Sean recalled the video footage that he saw that when Phil walked in today, the bank manager came over and approached him. And then whenever they were in the vault room and the gun was pulled, the bank manager's hands went up before he even pulled the gun out. It was kind of reactionary in the opposite direction than it should be.
Yeah, he's just, like,
So,
telling him, "Stay away from him. Don't even go
yeah.
near him."
And with Phil feeling like he's been watched in there, he could be involved with this. I mean, that makes sense too. It wouldn't be the first time that like a bank manager or somebody that worked at a bank was involved with like a heist or a crime of some
Well,
kind.
sure,
So,
they're around money, money, money all the time, and they're not making that much money, so
and they also
yeah.
know the inside. They know how everything works. They know about the insurance and stuff like that. So, yep.
Mhm.
Sean comes out and he pretends to be like the hardcore hostage. He's like all
Like, he's all
limp and
tattered.
he hasn't seen the sunlight in days.
And Henry has arrived to the scene, and he tells Sean, "You gotta understand, this guy, he's not negotiating anymore. He's getting ready to, like, go in. Like, you gotta be prepared. This is not gonna end well, and it's gonna be soon."
Mhm. Yeah, the longer these things take, the worse he looks at his job. It costs more money,
Mhm.
it puts people at risk. So yeah, this shirt that he has on is
It's
awful.
hideous, but it's not the first time we've seen it.
30 minutes, 40 seconds in, and Sean and Lassie are kind of like making a plan behind the out of sight behind the van.
Well, Sean's telling Lassie that he just knows that this guy it's not his fault that he's in there doing this.
So Sean has just talked Lassiter into coming along with his plan. They're taking one of the police vans, and Sean, before he gets in, he looks back and sees Juliet, and he like waves her down.
Yeah, he's, like, trying to convince her, "Look, you need to come with us. Come on, come on, come on."
He's like hopping
And
around and swinging his hands.
right, like, "Come on!" And she goes with them. Yay. Good it's the first good decision she's made.
Yep.
And then he's worried about their date tonight. Ugh. On the way to the house where hopefully the wife is, we're at 32 minutes in, Sean and I love the look on Lassie's face during all of this, right? Sean is like, "You can't give me one good reason why you're attracted to this guy?" Like, he's talking to Jules like, "Why? Why are you dating Lance? Why?" And Lassie is just loving it. Look at his face, Matt. I mean, I can't. It's not nice of him to be so excited about this.
Although I do wish that it was because of him wanting or him wanting Sean and Juliet to be together, as
Oh, no,
opposed to
it's
him just wanting to,
well, he just
knock
doesn't
on
want Sean to win anything.
Luntz. Oh wait, you think that?
No, Lassie just thinks this is so funny that Sean is upset that Jules is dating someone else.
Oh, that's why you think he's laughing? I thought he was
Yes.
No, no, no. I think he's
No, because
laughing
he was
because of
laughing.
Sean. He's laughing at Sean's jokes about Luntz because he doesn't like Luntz.
Oh, well, okay, I
That's what
guess it
I
can be
think.
interpreted either way then.
Well,
It's just that he
people,
was
listeners,
he
that
no,
is it. We are at 32 minutes now in the van. Take a gander at this episode, 32 minutes in, and let me know why you think Lassiter is smirking.
you have to remember too when you're evaluating this that prior to Sean knowing who it was that Jules was dating, because when they first got to the scene, and this was before what's his face ever showed up, or like right as he found out, right as Luntz arrived and Sean realized what was going on, that's when Lassie started getting that look on his face. So it was like he's going, "Oh, Spencer," like stirring the pot kind of thing. You know, like he was kind of happy that Sean's not happy about this. But
Mhm.
anyway,
Uh,
I don't think it has to do with Luntz. I think it has to do
oh,
with
I
Spencer.
think it has everything to do with Lens.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't. I
All
mean,
right.
it might be both. It might be a little bit of both. Well, let's keep watching.
I don't know. I'm curious what the fans think.
Just the look on his face. You haven't seen Lassiter smile this much in like ages. They arrive at the house and Sean is supposed to sit in the van. I don't think he's gonna do it. I
He
don't think he's gonna
definitely
stay
won't.
in the van.
It's not his style. But
No.
Lassie and Juliet are checking the perimeter and looking to see if anybody's home.
And we get a surprise moment here. What's the timestamp, Matt? At 33 minutes, Jules is doing her part on the outside of the house, and Sean has made his way over to in back of like a shed. He says, "Do it. Go out with him. I want you to go out with Lance." He says he wants her to be happy, and if she's gonna be happy with him, then he wants her to do it. It was so incredibly sweet. Then he's upset to learn that they're supposed to go out tonight. So they find the wife. We are now at 34 minutes and 10 seconds, and they are untying. Like she's sitting in there, she's tied up. No one's there, but Sean can see by the moving swing out back that someone was just there and they ran out the back.
All right, we're back at the bank, and we're kind of getting the neck and neck vibe here. Lutz is calling it, and he's preparing to go in with the gas and the SWAT team,
Mhm.
and we're just hoping that everything times out properly.
Yeah, he says he's going to try to make contact one more time. And then someone, did someone throw something at Gus or like,
That's what it looked like.
it looked like a pen was on the ground.
Oh, it was a
Oh, it
shoe.
was a shoe.
So we have two things going on here. We're at 35 minutes in, and we have the one side with at the bank, and Phil has gotten impatient. And he's pulled the bank manager into the other room, and he's just straight out asking, "Where's my wife? What'd you do with my wife? What are you doing here? What's going on with this? Why are you making me do this?" And the other half is we have Phil's wife with Sean, Lassie, and Juliet, and she says that there were two men that kidnapped her.
And we
And
also have a rogue Gus while Phil has the manager in the office talking to him. We have Gus who has kind of stepped away from the crowd a little bit. He's crawling across the bank floor going to do something. But as we're standing here, I see something in back of Phil, so I don't think this is going to end well for him right now.
somebody just knocked Phil out.
Yeah.
All we know is that the other guy that kidnapped her was wearing wingtip shoes, and Sean is going through everybody's shoes inside the bank, and he knows who it was.
Gus, who has gone rogue, we're at 36 minutes, 5 seconds, goes into that office and someone's aiming a gun at him. We at the same time have Lutz outside saying, "You know what? It's go time. Let's go in." So they're prepared to go in. And then back inside the bank, you have someone holding everybody, including the bank manager and Phil, at gunpoint with their mouths taped up. So taking a turn here. The other person that was involved in this is now in the bank, and he's the one holding them hostage.
Yeah, and he is also the guy that ratted out Gus for being on the phone in the very beginning.
Mhm.
So we find out Sean puts this together based on what the wife said and the things that he's seen and figured out so far. The plan was that Phelps, the actual mastermind here, was going to frame this. It was essentially going to be a heist that wasn't a heist at all. Nobody was even supposed to know. It was supposed to be just a simple handoff between Philip and the bank manager, or then Philip would hand it to Phelps. But
But the crazy woman at the bank screamed "gun" and changed the whole
right.
thing.
But Philip is not a bank robber, and his carelessness kind of set off this chain of events. Phelps was only in bank to make sure everything went off smoothly. And, I don't know if it was a good or bad for him to have been there on his part, but I mean, I guess it probably was good because it still gave him a chance, but it did put him in danger of getting caught. On top of that, Luntz is not answering the phone. So they really want to get back before there's breaching.
That's just irresponsible.
Maybe, but if he's doing stuff, he might not have noticed. Oh, they already went in. All right, so when Sean and Juliet and Lasseter get back, they've already breached the bank. They're counting bodies, is what they said. They're finding all the hostages, and they are looking for everybody involved. The guys run in and they're looking for Phelps still, and they end up going into the manager's office and seeing that screws on the vents have been removed. He's noticed the vent on the ceiling, but he's talking about a sewer system, and he thinks that Luntz is
Yeah.
or that Philip is in the sewers.
Yeah, I think
And
he's
Lutz takes
purposely
off.
getting Lutz out of the way, and
Well, not
he
only is he
knows
getting him
that
out of
they're
the
in the
way,
air
but
vents.
he has ulterior motives for the sewer too.
Yeah, and they boost Lassie up there into the air vent.
All right, so Lassie's up in the air ducts and he's crawling through, and there's actually literally a trail of diamonds in the air ducts
Mhm.
that he's following, and he finds the guy.
He's holding him by the ankle.
Yeah. So they end up catching the guy. So we're at 40 minutes, and Sean is back at the psych office, and it looks like he's like fixing a shelf or something. But Juliet comes in, and she is looking very pretty. Looks like she's getting ready for a date.
Mhm. With Lutz.
She says she was bringing Gus's shoes back from the bank from the evidence locker, but oh no. Oh,
Mhm.
Barb, I think this
So
is yours.
darn. Okay, give me a timestamp, hold on.
40:30.
Yeah, so at 40 minutes and 30 seconds, Jules is in there talking to Sean, and she looks so nice, and he comments on how nice she looks, and she said that, yeah, Cameron had to cancel. So Lentz had to cancel on the date because apparently he took like 4 showers and just couldn't get the smell off of him from the sewer that Sean led him into. So I thought that was
Super
kind of
convenient.
yeah, isn't that convenient that Sean led him to the sewer? I mean,
Mhm.
I wish that I could say I was upset about it, but I just can't. I think he got what was coming. Just saying.
Wow.
Yeah,
What
I
was
didn't like
coming?
him. I
Wow.
didn't like him. I didn't like him. He got it. It was supposed to be bad for him, and it was. Go, Sean. It was smart.
Wow.
Very, very smart. And then she says that they're gonna go out again tomorrow night. Ugh.
Oh,
Third
second
pineapple.
second pineapple.
Third pineapple.
Second pineapple.
Okay, oh, wait. Alright, so let's do what's leading up here. During their conversation, okay, you could tell that she wanted to stay there. And he says, "Well, if you're not doing anything, have you eaten?" And he says, I can't offer you anything as fancy as Mario's, but how about a ballpark frank and a stroll? It's like the golden hour, and I've been told that I look really great in that light. And then he has the little pulley system. Bring 2 hot dogs over, and we see our third pineapple of the show carved into the pulley tray. Matthew's gonna argue that that's the second pineapple, not the third, but he would be wrong.
Nope.
It
Nope.
doesn't have to be visual, Matt.
Oh
It
no,
was a
we'll come back to this.
specific
We'll come back to
talk
this.
about the pineapple.
We'll
Alright,
come
fine.
back to this.
Okay,
Oh,
so
it
he's pulleyed the hot
100% has to be
dogs.
visual, but all right, we'll come back to this.
You're wrong, but okay. Okay.
This is one of those times, and we end the episode with them walking out and going outside for a walk, enjoying their hot dogs. This is one of those times that I just don't get it with Sean. It's a silly, but if you got to go into the other room to make the hot dogs, you might as well just carry them back in.
Sean is all
Break it
about the novelty of
down.
things, though. He's very much about the funny.
Yeah.
Okay. tell me, Matthew, what are your thoughts about the episode? And how
General
many
thoughts.
pineapples? How many
So this
pineapples did you give?
episode had we got some great Sean and Juliet moments. This is one of those episodes that forced Sean into a position where, he has to do something. He can't just, play back and be cute and make little funny, cute jokes with Juliet. Like he has to he's got to do something. He's got to take action, which is great. This is a great one to really see how much he cares about Gus. There are a couple scenes that stand out, specifically like one from the high school reunion one where he gets up on stage and gives Gus his props for being his best friend and always being there for him, that kind of thing. And this is another one of those sections where he really is open about how he feels about Gus. I liked the case. I thought the case was good. It was a little bit basic, but it did make sense. And there was like a logical, like dropping of clues, nothing too outrageous or unbelievable happened. So I did like that. I liked the guest star. He played it very well.
Guest stars,
Hmm.
plural.
Yeah. Sorry, guest stars.
Mhm.
Yes, I was thinking specifically of Phil, though, the bank robber. He played his part
Mhm.
very well. I think I'm gonna give this one. I think I'm gonna give it 3 pineapples.
Wow. Okay. All right. All right.
This is not
Okay.
one that's necessarily on my list of favorites. It's not on my top 10 list or anything like that. Um, it's good. It's good.
All right.
It's one of the few times that we get to see Sean and Lassie team up, where Lassie is not like begrudging.
Yeah. Right. Or he
So yeah,
actually
I'm
listens to
gonna give
him.
it 3 pineapples. I'm gonna say that I thought it was a good episode. I enjoyed the cast. I liked the relationship building between the characters,
Hmm.
and it was a little bit unique with Gus not being there for all of it and Sean and Lassie teaming up. While the other guest star was good, Luntz, his character was unlikable. While he did a good job portraying that character. What about you? What do you think?
I like this episode a lot. And I know that might surprise some of you because of some of the subject, but I like the case, and I thought that they did a good job of making the case like okay, here's what I find is on the episodes that I clearly love the character development aspect of it, the case is not quite as in depth or prominent. Like you were saying, it was kind of simple, but they needed that to be because they had so much character stuff going on. So
Mm,
while I did not like the fact that Jules was dating Luntz, this is a necessary progression for the two of them to truly figure out that they want to be together. So I mean, like they are going through that whole I need to be ready for you kind of thing. And so I think it's part of it and it's a necessary part of it. I like when they show us that the two of them see it. They get it that they really like each other. They get it, but it's just not necessarily the right time. So all of this sort of has to happen to get us there. So for that reason, I will tolerate the stupid relationship between them. And I will watch as Sean and Jules like figure more and more out about the two of them. So I can deal with it. I liked the guest stars. I thought that all very good. I like how strong the chief was. I love that we have McNabb in this episode. I always would like a little more Henry. I don't feel like we got enough Henry in this episode. And there was no flashback, which also I really like the flashbacks. So I did miss that in this episode. But
Last
overall,
episode didn't have a flashback either. Talk Derby to me.
oh yeah, that's no, it did.
Did it?
Yeah, in the very beginning, it
What
was
was the
thieves.
flashback
Yeah, it
for?
was that the thieves lie.
Oh, yeah, yep, the BB gun. Yep, that's right.
We
Okay.
had that.
No, there was
Yeah,
another one.
so
There was another one that didn't have a flashback because I remember seeing it like this was the first episode that didn't.
well, this one
Daredevils.
and I
Daredevils.
like that the Daredevils had a flashback of
No, it didn't.
it
Oh, yes, it did.
Sean trying to
No,
jump the
which
thing on
one
his
was it?
bike. I don't know, but I don't know. Anyway, this one didn't have one. That's what I do know. So I want to finish my thoughts about this one. So
Ghosts. The
I
ghosts.
feel oh my god.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
I
Sorry.
feel I feel like this was a good it was a good episode overall. I thought they did good character development. I thought that there were good guest stars in it. Yeah, the case, while it was a little bit simple, was very plausible. I liked the whole thing. And I really did I liked seeing Lassie smile, even though it was at Sean's expense. I liked seeing him smile. And I liked that he took Sean's word for stuff.
Yeah.
That he didn't like pass it off like, no, I can do this better. He just took his word for it because he wanted to best Lutz. So it didn't matter how it happened. He just was going to take Sean's word. So I did like it. I like this episode. I gave this episode 4 pineapples.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I see.
Now
Okay.
let's head into our notable moments. Do you have an ah yeah moment?
I do. So my all yeah moment. So for you, any of you listeners out there, the all yeah moment is something we loved that happened in the episode. The all yeah. And for me, this episode, it was when Sean and Juliet Juliet and Lassie are kind of surrounding the house and searching it, and Sean takes off and is talking to Juliet. And they have a really nice heart to heart moment where they talk about how, Sean just wants her to be happy, even if it means being with Lutz, which
Hmm.
is good. And it's also part of their development. So, what about you? Oh,
Oh,
yeah?
mine was Sean leading Lentz to the sewer.
Okay. Yeah, I could totally see that. All right.
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was brilliant.
Yeah,
He knew exactly what he was
he was
doing. It was
planning.
fantastic.
Yep, I
Brilliant.
could totally see that.
Do you have a
All
come
right.
on son moment?
Yes, the come on son moment is something we all didn't love that happened. And I'm gonna have to say when Luntz blows Sean off when he calls from inside the bathroom of the bank. He calls him with, like,
Yes.
legitimate like, Sean isn't messing with him or anything. He's like, "I have evidence here. I talked to the guy. I figured this out." And before he even gets to say anything, Luntz is, like, hanging up on him.
He just dismisses him.
Yep.
That was a good one, but it's not mine. Mine is Jules dating Lentz. Actually, on my notes, it says Jules
Okay.
dating old man Lentz.
Old man Luntz. He's
Mhm.
really not that old.
For her, he was, and I have to agree with Sean here, that he was much older than her. Meanwhile, he's probably younger than I am now, so I can't say a whole lot about that, but it is what it is. All right. Do you have a wait for it moment?
Wait for it is when something happens that we want to find more about in the future. And for me, that's gonna be sending Luntz into the sewers. Because in the episode, you see how he looks up at the vent and sees the screws have been are missing, and he knows that it's up in the vents. So why did he send Luntz to the sewer? That would be it for me.
I thought, initially it was like, oh, he wants Lassie to get this one, but it was really more about, yeah. Anyway, okay, my wait for it moment was Sean finding out where Jules and Lutz were going on their date. Because I
Okay.
knew something was gonna happen when he was like, "Where are you going?" Like, it
Mhm.
just made me go, "Okay, what's gonna happen here?" So, I don't really think that there was a Henry lesson in this episode.
Nope. Nope, there really wasn't. We actually don't even have that much dialogue from Henry. We see him, I think, more than hear him this episode.
Pineapples, we had the pizza. Yes, we're counting
We
that one.
had
It
two
was a very
pineapples. Nope.
clear call of the pineapple. Then we had the
Verbally
pineapple
saying
in the
pineapple pizza
bank.
is not a pineapple. It's not.
No,
We've
no, I
already
feel like it
discussed
is.
this in the
Then we
past.
had the pineapple in the bank, then we had the
Nope.
pineapple on the pulley tray.
We've discussed it in the past. It's not.
I'm counting it. Okay. Anyway. All
It's
right, so
incorrect.
3 pineapples, so that was good. We did not have a silly nickname in this episode, but he did say to Gus in the bank, Sean said, "You sweet dollop of spicy goodness."
Mhm. It's not quite the same though. I don't think we can count that one.
I really liked it. I almost thought of it like almost as one of the Gus don't be a kind of things,
Mhm.
like where he just was like giving him something. I mean, we got a little touch
How
of
about we
something.
put that under favorite quotes?
That's exactly where I have it.
Okay.
I
All
have
right.
it as
Cool.
my number 1 favorite quote. "You sweet dollop of spicy goodness." I thought it was funny. It reminds
The
me
one for me,
it
probably
reminds
the
me
the
of
man
wait, wait,
boobies
wait.
one.
It remi That one was good too, but it reminds me of, American Duos where Nigel is like, "I feel
Mhm.
like a baby, um,
Swaddled.
swaddled in
Swaddled in a
a
cloud of
in a
cotton candy.
cloud of cotton candy." Like I love that. Okay. Yeah. Is that your two favorite quotes? The spicy goodness and the man boobies?
Yep, I think that was
Okay.
probably it. Mhm.
All right. I don't
When the
have
when those
many.
guys behind the van, like, laughed whenever they were on the phone, they were, like, giggling because they were here listening in on the conversation. That sold it for me.
Uh, I do like it how in this episode, this is just like a side note, how Jules and Sean would be talking and like there was always someone listening to them talking. Like
Mhm.
whether it was the guys that could hear on the phone or Lassie when he's in there in the van talking and he's like, "You guys know I'm in the van, right?" Like
Yep,
they just didn't care. Oh, it was great. Are you ready for pop culture references, Matt?
I am. Let's go for it.
There are not very many this time. Our first one is Alan Ruck. He is our main guest star. He played Phil, and he is most famous for his role as Cameron on Ferris Bueller's Day Off in 1986. He also starred in Spin City with Michael J. Fox from 1996 to 2002. Has been in many, many other shows. Is currently has a role on Succession from 2018 till now. Gary Cole is the next one. He played Lentz in this episode. He got his start in a TV movie called Heart of Steel in 1984 and has had roles on shows like Moonlighting. He starred in Midnight Caller, which was a show that ran from 1988 to 91, an American Gothic from 95 to 98, West Wing from '03 to '06. Maybe along, I'm not sure if that lined up with when Dule was on the show, but same show. He had a role in Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Ricky Bobby, Entourage, Chuck, The Good Wife and the Good Fight, Suits, another one with Dule, Veep, Chicago Fire. He's done a ton of voiceover, and most recently, he is on NCIS. He kind of took over when Gibbs left the show as Agent Alden Parker. I also cannot look at him and not think about him in the Brady Bunch movies. They were so satirical, and he played the dad, and it was just funny. Okay, "Genius" is a song that is playing in the car in the Blueberry while they're at the bank, and that song is by Steve Franks and the Friendly Indians.
Which kinda baffled me because
Yeah.
I that was one that I feel like I've heard before. It's like, "I'm a genius. I've got it all figured out."
Oh,
It's catchy.
you don't even know what has happened here. We got a Matthew singing moment. That was great.
Oh,
I like
someone's
that.
throwing shade. Okay, alright.
There's no shade, no shade, no shade.
Okay, okay.
Just pure enjoyment.
No, I just feel like it's a catchy, like, a
Yeah.
tone, I guess. So, it just felt
Well,
like it was something that I've heard before.
you have to think though, given the Psych theme song and everything we know about Steve Franks and his sort of sense of humor and how he likes things to be sort of light and like, happy, like his music is probably great. I
Mhm.
should probably listen to more of it. Okay, so next song that's playing is when Lentz comes out of the SWAT van, and it is by White Zombie, More Human Than Human. There is a reference made to SWAT, the movie. That was a 2003 movie starring Colin Farrell, Samuel L. Jackson, LL Cool J, and Jeremy Renner. There was an ongoing joke in my house constantly, me and my husband, like, "I'm SWAT." And he'd be like, "You're not SWAT." And I'd say, "No, I'm SWAT." It was anyway,
Well, it's because
it's
Joe was
funny to
obsessed
me.
with SWAT for quite some time.
Well, he's
Who am
seen
I
the movie
kidding?
a
We all
few
loved it.
times.
It was
He's
great.
seen the movie a few times, let's
Jeremy
just say that.
Renner, Colin Farrell,
Yeah.
LL Cool J. It was a good movie.
Loaded with guest stars. Okay, or with
Plus,
big
at the
stars rather.
time, it was I mean, it was based around a real event, which made it even more
Mhm.
interesting.
Yeah. Very, very cool movie. I don't think I've seen the whole thing, but I have seen enough bits and pieces that I could probably put it together because of how
Wow.
many times my husband has watched it.
Wow.
Tons of times. Okay, next reference is for, Sidney Poitier. This is at the end of the show, and he is an actor, very famous actor. Started acting in 1947, and last role was in 2001. He actually just recently passed away in January, so very sad to have that news. We had a long string of people right in the beginning of January of celebrities that passed, and he was one of them. Let's see, Mr. Tibbs they reference, which was one of Sidney Poitier's most famous roles from a movie called In the Heat of the Night from 1976. So yeah, a lot of little references in this one. Not too many. It's usually overrun with them. This time not so many.
Mhm.
But that's everything.
Well, I think our last segment here is just how does the episode hold up over time?
Yeah,
Personally, the only thing I got was that you don't really need to walk into a bank anymore. You can deposit checks with your phone. I mean, you can do everything online on your, phone apps. So there's not much you need to
for
physically
me,
walk into a bank for.
For me, it was more about other technology, like technology that, like, why wouldn't Lentz have had like an earpiece in, keeping him abreast of other things that other cops were telling him, or like, I guess I just feel like technologically it was a little bit off. Even the phones in the bank, like, just everything seemed a little bit off technologically, but otherwise, I mean, I think it was pretty good. Yeah. It holds up, like, story-wise and things like that, it holds up, though. Just other than the technology, which is usually our complaint, but
Yeah.
anyway. Alright, so on our next episode, we will be discussing season 3, episode 9, Christmas Joy. Yes. Be sure to check out our Facebook group and subreddit in the links below.
And if you have any questions, if you have any messages for us, if you're answering any of the questions we asked in the episode, send those to the psych podcast at gmail.com. We love responding and answering you guys, especially on the podcast. So, send those in. Literally anything that you think about either the episode of the show or the episode of the podcast, send it.
Definitely. And in the meantime, thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we hope you have a great week. We'll hopefully see you back here next week.
See you next time.